live in high definition. This is Western New York's news leader. Now, News 4 at 11.
And good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with breaking news from Grand Island. State police need your help in a hit-and-run accident. They say the driver of this truck hit a woman, then drove off.
She is in critical condition. Police say this happened a little after 8 o'clock on East River Road. They are looking for this black four-door Dodge pickup truck. It will have some damage, troopers say, on the passenger side mirror. We have a number you can call on our website, WIVB.com, if you think you can help.
Also tonight, an assistant school superintendent in Williamsville has been fired. The school board accepted the recommendation of a hearing officer.
Dr. Kim Kirsch was suspended and put on leave 3 years ago. News 4's Callan Gray joins us live in Williamsville with more on tonight's decision. Callan?
Well, Alina Dunn, the school board voted 8-0 to fire Dr. Kim Kirsch, the assistant superintendent for human resources. Now, they are legally obligated to follow the recommendation of that state hearing officer. And just before the vote, 2 school board members spoke up.
My intentions tonight were to table this vote due to the unfortunate timing of the hearing officer's ruling as it just came out late yesterday.
This vote is not in any way to show that I agree with it, but it is to accept it, as we often have to do.
It's difficult to fathom what I just heard at this board table.
Superintendent Dr. Scott Marchloff said he was shocked that 2 board members spoke out with concerns they were obligated to vote to fire Dr. Kim Kirsch. He says a state hearing officer yesterday found her guilty of 103 out of 113 charges for incompetence, misconduct, neglect of duty, insubordination, and conduct unbecoming of an assistant superintendent.
It speaks to the fact that we should be ready to move forward together.
Dr. Kirsch had been in that position since 2007, but was suspended and put on administrative leave in 2014 after the school board decided to bring those disciplinary charges against her. Dr. Kirsch's lawyer argues the charges were retaliation after she brought concerns about Superintendent Marchloff to the school board. But the state hearing officer found no evidence of retaliation in his decision. This has been a long process. The district had to start over after the first hearing officer got sick and couldn't continue with the investigation. There have now been 49 days of hearings and nearly 30 witnesses.
I'm glad to see us move into a new chapter.
Dr. Kirsch's lawyer says this is an absolute travesty and says to me today, quote, "That's totally contrary with the law, and they are now looking at their options." Now, the acting assistant superintendent for human resources is retiring in July. He's been in that position for the past 3 years, but the school is looking for a replacement immediately, and that acting assistant superintendent will stay on a part-time basis to help with that transition. Reporting live, Callan Gray, News 4.
Callan, thank you. We want to take you live to this incredible scene in London. Look at this. A 27-story high-rise building is engulfed in flames right now. Firefighters posted this on Facebook 19 minutes ago. It's 4 o'clock in the morning there, saying 40 fire engines and over 200 firefighters have been called to this scene. They're working to put out this fire. It's unclear about any injuries right now. They said evacuations were underway, but again, this is live pictures from London. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. The sun's coming up, and this is what 200 firefighters down are dealing with there.
What an inferno. Well, high water levels are still a concern on Lake Ontario. Portable dams have been installed in Greece and Sodas Point outside Rochester, replacing the sandbags to help stop water from spilling on shore. Both towns are getting $500,000 to repair wastewater infrastructure that was damaged during recent flooding. Our chief meteorologist, Todd Santos, is here with the latest forecast. Good evening, Todd.
Good evening. And as we mentioned earlier, basically since the beginning of this month, the lake has dropped almost 2 inches in basically 12 days, 1.8 inches to be exact. So there has been some improvement, and we'll see what goes on forward, as I believe they're going to be actually letting a little bit more water, kind of the highest levels they've ever seen, through the dam at Messina as well. We'll see how that can affect things. A quick look at, I did want to share this image, the Great Lakes watershed. These are the patches, the areas that get into each one of the lakes. And I've zoomed in here to the eastern lakes, and this is what really caused a lot of the issues in through April and May into especially the Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence, and Lake Erie watershed areas, actually part of Lake Huron as well. 150 to 200% of average April rain, and very similar numbers for the first half of May. And that really helped clog things up. Of course, the Ottawa River played a big piece in clogging up the drain there, if you want to call the St. Lawrence the drain for the whole system out to the ocean. So one of the concerns for tomorrow with the onshore winds, the Weather Service has actually dropped the Lakeshore Flood Watch just minutes before the 11 p.m. show. So this is brand new information here. And it's mainly because the wave action may only briefly get to around 3 to 4 feet tomorrow, not quite the 4 to 6 feet, which I believe it takes to actually trigger that watch. So the water levels in combination with slightly less in the wind department have allowed them to drop that watch. Still, those of you who have sandbags and pumps and things like that that you're depending on daily with this, especially with these high water levels, still want to be alert tomorrow, as we are still talking northeasterly winds around 14 to 22 miles per hour. It's just not for a long enough time period to generate big time wave action. So hopefully that helps out some of you. That may come as some good news. There's a look at the satellite and radar. The clouds are mostly clearing out of the area. The showers are gone, and they shouldn't return until really the second half of Thursday. Do expect tomorrow to be a nice quiet day out there. A little bit cooler with the northeast breeze. Temperatures right now have gotten back into the 60s. We're starting to get a little relief from the humidity as well for late night tonight into early tomorrow morning. Really, I should say early tomorrow morning. We'll start to find some upper 50s and lower 60s. So if your house is really stuffy, a good one to sleep with the windows open, because it may be quite a bit nicer as you wake up in the morning. We'll check in on tomorrow, but also the thunderstorm timing for Thursday with the Walenda stunt, the corporate challenge, all these other things going on. I will try to keep you up to date with the very latest timing. Don, Alina.
Todd, thank you. New at 11, a Batavia man admitted to leaving his 1-year-old child alone at home. 40-year-old Charles Rodriguez Sr. pleaded guilty to child endangerment. Police were looking for Rodriguez because of a theft at a dollar store from earlier this month. He wasn't there when officers got to his home, but they found his child awake in a crib in an 85-degree room. They found Rodriguez this morning. He'll spend 6 months in jail.
No one was hurt this afternoon at a chemical fire at a company in West Seneca. The fire broke out on the roof at Quasar Energy in North America Drive. It happened around 5 o'clock tonight, but it only took firefighters half an hour to put it out.
Also new tonight, New York State took its first test drive in a car that drives itself.
State leaders and a major car company are looking at whether self-driving cars make any sense in New York State. An autonomous car took Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul for a spin around Albany this afternoon. Audi won the rights to test this new technology in the state. They have until April 1st of next year to finish their demonstrations. State police and the DMV will then file a progress report.
Allegations turn out to be true, they should be fired. I mean, simple as that.
A Buffalo police officer accused of turning a blind eye while a drug addict shot up heroin during a movie shoot. Blink of an eye shined a spotlight on Western New York's opiate epidemic.
The lawyer for that addict says the director wanted real drugs in the film and accuses a police officer of promising to help him with his drug charges if he took part in the movie. The attorney for Robert Sagliani says he agreed to buy and use drugs for the movie after he was arrested for drug possession. He and his mother were in a scene that was being shot at a restaurant in the Main Street Mall. Pictures given to News 4 show Officer Liz Baker, who arrested him at the restaurant. Sagliani's lawyer claims Baker stood there while Sagliani did drugs for the film and did nothing to stop him. But Buffalo police deny she was present for anything illegal.
She was fully aware of the movie. In fact, at one point, she apparently called the son's girlfriend so that the son's girlfriend could bring a syringe.
She was asked to help find a location for them to shoot. She talked to the people at the restaurant. They agreed to let them have a back corner. They set up equipment. Liz went right back out on Main Street to do her patrolling.
Buffalo police say they offered to get Sagliani and his mother into treatment, but made no other promises. Internal Affairs is investigating with Erie County District Attorney John Flynn looking over this case. Today, the investigation into Russia's role in last year's presidential election focused on the Attorney General.
Mola Lenghi's on Capitol Hill, where some of Jeff Sessions' former Senate colleagues hammered him about Russia and former FBI Director James Comey.
For 2.5 hours, the Senate Intelligence Committee aimed tough questions at Attorney General Jeff Sessions about whether he was targeted by Russian operatives during the 2016 election. Sessions forcefully denied it.
The suggestion that I participated in any collusion, that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government to hurt this country or to undermine the integrity of our democratic process is an appalling and detestable lie.
Sessions said since he recused himself from the Russia investigation, he has not received any briefing on Russian interference in the presidential election. Last week, former FBI Director James Comey testified before the same committee.
Mr. Comey said that there were matters with respect to the recusal that were problematic and he couldn't talk about them. What are they?
Why don't you tell me? They are none, Senator Wyden. This is a secret innuendo being leaked out there about me, and I don't appreciate it.
Sessions' former colleagues also pressed him on a meeting he had with Comey following a private encounter Comey had with the president in the Oval Office. Comey testified after that meeting he asked Sessions to prevent any future one-on-ones with the president, and that Sessions merely shrugged. Sessions insisted that he did respond.
I affirmed his concern that we should be following the proper guidelines of the Department of Justice and basically backed him up in his concern.
The exchanges turned testy at times when Sessions refused to answer questions about private conversations he had with the president.
I am not stonewalling. I am following the historic policies of the Department of Justice.
Mola Lenghi for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And straight ahead, how a store that's been around for a century had a grand opening tonight.
Also, avoiding a DIY disaster, how asbestos was found during a repair project at one woman's home, and the one key piece of equipment you should wear if you do repairs yourself.